when we're asking ourselves about the empire and whether or not this genocide is all Netanyahu's fault and not the state of Israel in conjunction with the United States is preposterous. But this is a video on AIPAC, and this is going to show who's really running this country. It's going to indicate who does the biggest foreign interference into any government that is by far Israel. Yet they're not registered as foreign agents. The people who advocate, literally everybody in the government who take money from AIPAC and Israel should register as a foreign agent. That would literally make every single person in government that. I would say maybe 95% of those elected people in government. But if you thought this is Netanyahu's fault, if you think what you're hearing about Netanyahu, what you're hearing about the rhetoric, think again, because this is who's really controlling our government. This is who's really controlling. I mean, they're able to get a TikTok bill through the House in 24 hours past waiting. And it's the Senate that's holding it up. That's the influence they have. They have the Senate voting on whether or not anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. I'm sorry, they had the House voting on that. That's the power that they have. Let's listen.
The American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It was incorporated in 1963. For 10 years prior to that, it was...
Now, it's the American Israel. It used to be the American Zionists. Just think about the genesis of the name. They changed it to the I. It used to be Z. It used to be AZPAC. American Israel. I'm sorry, American Zionists. I'm sorry. And now they switched it to Israel. Now, think about the origin of that. The fact that it used to be Zionist tells you that this was never about being Jewish. Otherwise, they would name it the American Jewish or the American Israel from the beginning. The fact that they started out with Zionists tells you what this project is about. But anyway, I digress. But let's watch a big bulk of this video here.
The American Israel Public Affairs Committee. It was incorporated in 1963. For 10 years prior to that, it was known as the American Zionist Committee for Public Affairs.
There we go.
AIPAC calls itself America's pro-Israel lobby, and according to its website, it has over 3 million members across the country in regional chapters working to, quote, expand and strengthen the U.S.-Israel relationship, end quote. You may know AIPAC as being one of the biggest and most recognizable donors to many of the members of Congress in your state. But contributing to campaigns is a relatively new function of the organization. Before 2021, AIPAC did not endorse candidates nor give political contributions. Its focus was on lobbying elected officials, not actually electing officials. But in a dramatic shift in policy, AIPAC began directly funding candidates and spending big on races in 2021. AIPAC Political Action Committee, AIPAC-PAC, filed something called a Statement of Organization with the FEC just in time for the 2022 election cycle, where it spent $50 million, including both direct contributions to candidates and outside spending like TV advertisements. According to AIPAC, it donated money to 365 candidates from both parties, including every single member of both Democratic and Republican leadership in Congress.
Every single member of leadership of both parties. Imagine if we said Putin and Russia donated the same amount of funds to every single member of leadership. Imagine if we said that. But that's what we have going on here in the United States. And then with the straight face, they can say things like Israel's not committing a genocide. They can say things with a straight face. Israel's not breaking international law. Just amazing. But anyway, let's get through this, because this is just the setup video for the rest of the main presentation here. This is just a setup how this notion that, and this is what the establishment, in particular the Democratic establishment, is pushing this very hard. Morning Joe began softly pushing this. Remember an episode with David Ignatius? He began pushing this. Wow, this had to be in December, November, but mildly. Yeah, we're gonna see what's going on. But now we have reached full-fledged. Let's make this about Netanyahu versus Joe Biden. So they're essentially doing the same thing they're doing about with the Republican Party and Donald Trump. They're scapegoating one person when they know that the whole damn Republican Party is terrible. Like, like Nikki Haley's better than fucking Donald Trump. Get the fuck out of here. So, you notice this shift, and it's literally just a messaging shift. It's never policy shift. So it's literally just messaging. Even in the Chuck Schumer speech, which we're going to be getting to, literally he says later in the speech, yeah, we're not going to be changing anything as far as policy wise, though. No, that was just a speech. This is what they do. They're not changing any policy. Let's continue with the rest of this. And he's going to name some of the people, the top donors, the top receivers of money from AIPAC.
In Congress, 109 Republicans who voted against the certification of the 2020 presidential election in America received campaign contributions from AIPAC.
Wait, what? Wait, those election deniers that are in Congress, AIPAC is donating to them, and the Democrats don't have anything to say about that? They don't have a critique of AIPAC supporting people against democracy? That's just another contradiction from the Democrats who claim that they worried about democracy ending. See this contradiction here? This glaring contradiction? AIPAC supports financially over 100, what did he call them? I don't think he said election denier, but effectively. No, and you hear tumbleweeds when it's time to critique
All
them.
in all, AIPAC gave money to 342 members of the 118th Congress. The 2022 elections were the most expensive midterms.
342 members. 342 members. There's not even 100 more members. So less than 100 members do not receive money from AIPAC
in American history, with a total cost of $8.9 billion spent. Now, last year, AIPAC ranked 15th in total expenditure by a political action committee, according to data collected by Open Secrets. But
so AIPAC ranked 15th. So when you're ranking who's giving the most money, AIPAC ranks here, 15th. Now let's see who else is ranked around that who else is in that ranking? Who's 13, who's 12, who's 11, who's 16, who's 17? Let's see.
Take a look at the other funders that AIPAC is competing against for that title. Act Blue and Win Red. They are Democratic and Republican Party machines. Save America is Donald Trump's money-raising operation. The Conservative Club for Growth, Emily's List, focuses on electing Democratic women to office. All of the PACs on this list are massively domestic-focused ideological machines. AIPAC is the only organization in the top 20 whose interests are focused entirely on America's relationship to a foreign government.
How is this not election interference? There's no other foreign entity that's ranked close in the top 20 like AIPAC. But we're free. This is a land of the free.
Let's take a look at who benefits from AIPAC's largesse. Here are the top 20 recipients in Congress, the House and the Senate, of AIPAC money in the 2022 midterm cycle, according to Open Secrets. They're members of both parties. They come from every corner of the country with varying levels of experience in Congress. The Democrat Glenn Ivey of Maryland tops the list. He beat out fellow Democrat Donna Edwards in Maryland's House.
Now, what I remember about this segment, and I'm gonna make the same critique, because this is a good segment that he's pointing out, but he can't help but also be a shield for the establishment, because what he's not pointing out is the vast majority of these top recipients, these are all Democrats. That's what he's leaving out here. He's essentially trying to make the point how the government's bought, but he's refusing to make the point that in this purchase, the Democrats are the one that's getting paid the most. They're getting the most money to sell out. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So on this line here, 10 names, the last one is a Republican. All of the other ones are Democrats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then over here is half and half. 10 names, 5 and 5. 9 and 5, 14. 14 out of 20. To me, that should be a point, because I think definitely if it was flipped the other way, 14 out of 20 were Republicans, I think he would definitely make the point. But he skips over this point. Although this is a good segment, let's let him continue.
Ivey of Maryland tops the list. He beat out fellow Democrat Donna Edwards in Maryland's House primary after AIPAC poured millions into pro-Ivey advertisements and mailers. Edwards was running for a second stint in Congress after serving during the Obama administration, where she voted present, not even a no, on a number of pro-Israel resolutions. So the money poured in against her. Not even an endorsement from Nancy Pelosi could save her.
So this is the point that I make all the time with progressives, social democrats, liberal, whichever name they use. Why are you sacrificing your quote unquote principle by supporting Israel at all? Because if it's not 100% unequivocal support, they're coming after you regardless. So what is the benefit, is what I'm trying to say. What is the benefit for selling out your policy beliefs by being okay with financially supporting Israel? Because that's what most of them, oh yeah, I'll support them, the Israel right to defend itself and all this other stuff. And they support money normally, but right now they don't want to give the money because it's, conditions on it and because it's a genocide. But under normal pre-October 7th, they were fine with it. Voting like present. So it just doesn't make sense. What value are you getting out of it? Jamal Bowman, who's going to get primary, and likely Cori Bush is going to get primary for sure. And Jamal Bowman's on the borderline. What is... Now Cori Bush, to be fair, I don't know if she's ever voted to support financially. Please, in the comments, if you know, if she's voted to support financially Israel at all. I don't know. But what value is your support, Jamal Bowman, for example, with the Iron Dome, with going out there and making visits, when you just say, can you please give the Palestinian crumbs, they come for your head? What is the value in selling your soul then? I don't get that. You get what I'm saying? So it doesn't make any sense to me. Let's let him say a couple of more points here, and then we'll close this video and get to the presentation.
Michigan Democrat Haley Stevens unseated Democratic Representative Andy Levin. Here's what Levin had to say about that.
Now, this is the Andy Levin that's part of the Uncommitted in Michigan. One of the guys who was part of the organization organizing it, the one who was come on TV and say, no, I'm for Joe Biden, but this is a needed thing. He was ousted as a rep, and he's going to explain it in this video here, but he was ousted because he showed humanity towards Palestinians.
I'm really Jewish, but AIPAC can't stand the idea that I am the clearest, strongest Jewish voice in Congress, standing for a simple proposition that there's no way to have a secure democratic homeland for the Jewish people unless we achieve the political and human rights of the Palestinian people.
AIPAC spent $4 million against Levin. He lost by 20 points. When Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, the only Palestinian American in Congress, was censured by the House in early November over what some lawmakers called her rhetoric around the Israeli-Hamas war, 22 Democrats joined Republicans in that censure vote. 18 of those Democrats received campaign funds from AIPAC.
18 of them. 22 voted, 18 of them received money from AIPAC. Who's running our government? How is this a democracy? How is Israel getting a vote? How is Israel getting more than a vote? They're getting veto power. It's amazing. And you see Richie Torres right here at the bottom row, and we'll be covering this jackass in a second, or demon spawn is what I'm going to call him in a segment.
In 2022, totaling more than $1.1 million. By the way, for these 6 of them, AIPAC was their top contributor.
And
a growing list of progressive lawmakers who are vocal in their criticism of the government of Israel and its policies and their support for Palestinian self-determination have inspired AIPAC to spend even more. As progressive lawmakers began calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, Slate reported that insiders expect AIPAC's 2024 spending to hit $100 million. In fact, United Democracy Project, which is a pro-Israel super PAC affiliated with AIPAC, is already spending money on attack ads against Democratic Representatives Jamal Bowman of New York and Summer Lee of Pennsylvania. Lee has already got a primary challenger, as do Cori Bush and Ilhan Omar. Pro-Israel donors have already signaled that they're eager to primary Rashida Tlaib and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Congresswoman Lee already overcame AIPAC's financial influence against her once. She tweeted criticisms of Israel's treatment of Palestinians in 2021, but as a candidate, she affirmed Israel's right to exist. But that's not good enough. AIPAC spent nearly $3 million in the primary alone to defeat Lee, and they almost did. She beat Stephen Irwin, who is 3rd on the list of money given to candidates by AIPAC in 2022, by less than 1,000 votes. And if Congresswoman Lee wants to keep her seat in 2024, she's going to have to do it all over again. She joins me in studio after this break.